we have such limited time with you. I want to cover a whole bunch of stuff. Can you just tell me, were they following the withdrawal plan that you had in place with Afghanistan?
No, not even a little bit. And we had a great plan, but it was a very tenuous plan. It was based on many conditions. For instance, you can't kill American soldiers. Mm-hmm. And I dealt with Abdul Ghani Karaka, and I dealt with him, and very strongly, and he's the guy that's now the boss, and he was the boss then, and a lot of people weren't sure, and I had, numerous conversations, but I said absolute first part of the first conversation that, Abdul, hopefully we're going to get along, but here's the story. If you kill any Americans or any American soldiers, we're going to hit you harder than any country has ever been hit before. And we're starting in your village, but we are going to hit you harder than any country has ever been hit before. I hate to start off a conversation that way. It's not very friendly, but that's okay. I think you understand. You've been fighting for your entire life. So what happened, Glenn, is from that point, for 18 months, I believe it is, approximately, not one American soldier was killed. We kept everything and you have to understand, I did want to get out, but I wanted to get out with dignity, and I wanted to take our equipment out, and, $85 billion, and I didn't want soldiers killed. I've spoken to numerous of the parents who will only speak to me. They won't speak to Biden because they view what he did as having killed their child. And what he did is just indefensible. He took the military out first, and he left all these people, and then we became beggars to get the people out. So I had a plan to get them out very quickly. But first, the Americans would go out. I say, go out, and you had a certain amount of time. If somebody wants to stay, we can't be responsible for them, but not too many people would have stayed. Go out. We were going to keep Bagram open. We were never going to close that because, frankly, Bagram is more about China than it is about Afghanistan. It's practically right on the border of China. It's perfect. And now we've lost that. And you know who's taking it over? China. I hear China is taking it over. We spent $10 billion to build that base. It's got the longest, most powerful runways in the world. And China is now got its representatives. It looks like they're going to take it over. Glenn, it's not even believable what's happened. The way we got out, they have Apache helicopters. These are really expensive weapons. And really, they have 28 of them. And they're brand new. They're the latest model. They have, other, obviously, planes. I even say this, and you're a man. The reason you're great is because you're such common sense. Okay, it's about 90% common sense. Let's face it. And why wouldn't they bring pilots in to fly out the planes and the helicopters? It would have taken an hour. Even if you land them in Pakistan, land them in any country. You got 10 countries you can land them in, and get them out of there. So they didn't do that.
Let me talk to you a little bit about Pakistan. General Hamid and the Prime Minister Imran Khan has been remarkable helping us, getting Americans out and people who are targeted. They've been truly remarkable. Weren't they part of your plan?
Yes. I had a great relationship with Khan. He was a great athlete. He was a great cricket player. He was like the Mickey Mantle of cricket. Okay, I don't know if you know that, but he was a great athlete.
I know.
I guess, that's how he was famous in the country, and he became prime minister. And he was a friend of mine, and he appreciated, I wiped out ISIS 100% of the caliphate, which is much tougher than getting out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And we were getting out of Afghanistan. I took it down from 20,000 down to 2,500 troops or less. And plus, we had some European troops that I insisted be there, because why should we be fighting all this stuff? I mean, another reason Europe wasn't in love with me, but they respected this country. They respected us greatly. Now they don't. They're laughing at us like we're fools. And
we are.
The way he got out of Afghanistan was, in my opinion, and your opinion too, I think it was the most embarrassing event in the history of our country.
It tells me something about the American soul, that it is still wide awake and still open, because I think people saw that and saw that that was the most dishonorable thing we've ever done. It was dishonorable the way we treated our allies for so long. leaving people behind, leaving Americans behind, it has never been done. And now to have the Pakistani general and the Pakistani prime minister helping Americans to get out and doing the things that our own federal government should be doing, it's shameful. Right. It's shameful.
Well, it's an incredible thing, but maybe more incredible is if you watch the news, you see nothing about that catastrophe anymore. You see nothing about the 13 soldiers, warriors. But, they were brought in because we took everyone out, and they needed like an emergency, and they brought these generally young kids in, and they weren't even there. They brought them in. They brought them in on an emergency basis. They got blown up. You know who they never talk about? The people, our people, and people on the other side, 260 people. But they don't talk about our soldiers whose legs were blown off that are right now sitting in a hospital, maybe listening to your show. Congratulations on your success, by the way.
Thank you.
You do great. Really great. But they're sitting in a hospital with no legs, with no arm. They have been badly. Now, we lost 13. But we have numerous really badly injured, as you can imagine, soldiers in the hospital right now. Nobody even mentions that. But what's incredible is the news doesn't mention anything about this anymore. In fact, he's going to make a speech today. He's going to talk about he got out of Afghanistan. Now, if you get out of Afghanistan, a lot of people like that, and people have different views on it. But you get out, but you leave with great dignity. You leave with your weapons. I always knew that government was a fake government. We will give you another fake. And Ghani was, he was seen leaving with loads of cash. He had to leave some of it on the runway because it didn't fit into his helicopter and his plane. So he left tremendous amounts of cash on the runway, which nobody talks about. And I would criticize him for years. I used to criticize him because I heard certain things and I believed they were true. And now he turned out to be true. And the soldiers, they're great fighters, but they were fighting for a paycheck. They were among the highest paid soldiers, the Afghans, because we were paying $6 billion to the soldiers to fight. So they weren't really they were getting a paycheck. That's why it collapsed so fast. And I always said, as soon as we leave, within minutes, that thing is going to collapse, or before. And I said, Ghani will be out right before us. Ghani had a lot of political power in the United States with the politicians. That's the only thing kept him in office. But so I knew that. So therefore, I want to take back the equipment because they're not going to use it because they're going to leave. And that's what happened. They left. We could have had the soldiers saved, our people out, everything beautiful, and we could have been out in the same period of time. It's really, you're not talking about a different period of time or much of a different, maybe you take an extra couple of months, but you're talking about, we would have been out. I would have started. In fact, I had a May 1st date, but they didn't meet the conditions. So we knocked the hell out of it. We bombed them. They were never going anywhere near me. Never anywhere near me. And he understood, remember, they would never, no country would ever have been hit so hard as if they killed Americans.
Right.
And think of it, in Chicago, they had 1,000 people. What's happening in Chicago is so bad with these Democrats, and New York is having a tremendous problem with crime. Crime. In Afghanistan, we didn't lose one soldier.
Hang on just a second. Let me go to crime and some things that are happening here. Let me take 10 seconds for station ID. Back with just a few more minutes with President Trump. President Trump, I would love to have you on when you have a little more time.
Sure.
There are so many things that are going on that need explanation and need some common sense here. Can I ask you quickly? The book is out today about General Milley.
Right.
The failure from Lloyd Austin and General Milley is historic. But now we find out also that General Milley possibly was undermining you with China while you were president. You said, and I thought it was very gracious of you to say, I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. Do you believe it yet?
So I learned early on that he was a dope. I learned that when we walked to the church that was smoldering from the rioters. That's what they were, anarchists. that tried to burn it down, that they tried to say were wonderful, just, protesters, friendly protesters. As I'm walking, you see flame, you see smoke. I mean, literally a day or two before they tried to burn down the church, which was built along with the White House. I mean,
Right.
At the same time, very, very important institution, everything. And it's a church. So they didn't quite make it, but it was minutes from burning down. All right. And Millie walked with me, and I walked with numerous people, but Millie, the next day I saw him apologizing. From the day he apologized, I essentially had nothing to do with him because they said, this guy's a dope. All he had to do is say, it's my great honor to walk with the president or the presidency. Talk about, not me, talk about the presidency. And there were other things. He made a statement to me, and I guarantee you that's what happened to Biden. He said to me, because I said, we're getting out of Afghanistan, we have to do it, blah, blah, blah. I said, I want every nail, I want every screw, I want every bolt, I want every plane, I want every tank, but I want it down to the nail, screws, bolts. I want the tents, those big, beautiful tents that house the planes. I never saw tents as great as that. They're like hangars. I said, I want all of them deconstructed. I want them. I want every single thing. And he said, sir, it's cheaper to leave it than it is to bring it. I said, wait a minute, let me ask you a question, because I'm a construction guy, so I understand this stuff better than anybody. I said, let me ask you a question. You think if you have an airplane there and you're going to leave the airplane instead of putting a tank of gas in, and the airplane might have cost $40 million, $50 million, we got really good stuff, or the Apache helicopters. I said, you mean some brand new, by the way, millions and millions of dollars. So you think it's cheaper to leave it where it is than have 200 pilots fly over and fly all the equipment out? Do you think it's cheaper? Yes, sir. It's cheaper to leave it than it is. I said, I got to tell you, I think you got to be nuts. I mean, give me a tank of gas and a pilot, and I just picked up $40 million, a $40 million airplane.
All right.
But he was strong. It was amazing. So I learned early that this guy's a dope. But what he did do is he hurt our country, and he hurt us on trade because I was making trade deals. He hurt our country, and he shouldn't have been allowed to do it, and bad things should happen to him.
Mr. President, it is a privilege to have you on. You could stay for more. I know you have a busy schedule, but we'd like to have you back on again. Thank you so much, President Donald Trump.
Thank you very much, Glenn.